So hey guys, welcome to Lakehead University in Thunder Bay, Ontario. I just tried to find a quiet spot here to make a introductory video of my new Emmo Urban S. So yeah, this used to be a cycling and motorcycle channel. I'm getting out of motorcycling because I had two expensive hobbies and I can't afford to do both of them, which is cycling and motorbikes. I'm a middle-class guy, so cycling is my true passion. So I am getting out of motorbikes, focusing on cycling, and incorporating hoping to incorporate a couple electric vehicles into my daily life for commuting and purposes, for going to work occasionally, and for just doing stuff around my neighborhood. So this is my first purchase. This is the newest Emmo Urban. This is the Emmo Urban S. So the company is Emmo, which is based out of Toronto. So yeah, this is my first impressions video. I've had this now for, I think, I picked it up on Friday. It's Sunday, so I've had a couple days to use it. I've used it to do a couple errands, gone to the bank, went to get a sub, went to get a coffee at Tim Hortons, which are kind of slightly too far to walk from my house, and I feel very guilty if I was to drive such a short distance. And then you might say, well, Marco, you're a cyclist, why don't you just ride a bicycle? Because I ride a bicycle a lot. Okay, the previous 2 weeks I rode over 400 kilometers for the week, and after that I don't want to ride my bike anymore. Okay, that's more than enough riding for me. Mentally, I don't want to ride my bicycle anymore, and physically, I don't really want to ride my bicycle anymore. So incorporating an electric vehicle was something I was interested in trying, and so we did that. So this is, as I said, the Emmo Urban S. So it is an 18-inch wheeled bike. So it's a slightly larger diameter than I think a lot of the gas power looking scooters that you see. Seems to be the most common size is 16-inch wheels with fatter tires seems to be the trend, but this has gone to a larger diameter with about a 2.5, so like a bicycle width tire. The reason I went that route, the reason I chose this bike is basically weight. So this is listed at 50 to 65 kilograms depending on the battery. So the lightest version is about 120 pounds, so it's substantially lighter than most of the offerings that are on the market, and that was one of my main reasons for picking this up, is the weight, or lack of. So this has they list it as a max 500 watt, but I saw, where is the rating on this thing? Was it on the other side? So yeah, they say this is 48 volt, 350 continuous, so it'd be 500 peak. So it's not super powerful, but because it's a lighter weight bike, it does have adequate performance, I'm finding. And then they offer 3 battery options. The initial one, I believe, is a 48 volt, 10 amp hour lead acid. And then there are 2 lithium options. So there is a 48 volt, 14 amp hour lithium, and then a 48 volt, 20 amp hour lithium. So this one supposedly is the 20 amp hour version, because that's what I asked for and that's what I paid for. But I'll show you. So this is the battery. Comes in a case like this, super easily removable. For the size and density of the battery, it's actually not that bad weight-wise. So I'm fairly certain I got a lithium unit. The charger that I got with it is a lithium charger, but I'm just not 100% sure if I got the 14 amp hour or 20 amp hour. So I'm going to, when I go back in, the shop that sold this to me is actually just a few minutes from where I work, so I can visit them pretty easily during my lunch break. So I will go in on Monday and ask for a confirmatory email, or to see his invoice that I actually got the battery that I paid for. So it's very easily removable. So you plug in the cable, you can bring the battery inside your home to charge it. or there is a charging port on the back here so that you can do it with it on the bike. I generally take it out and bring it inside my home just because I have an unheated porch, so it gets extremes of warmth and coolness, so I can bring it inside where it's going to be in a controlled temperature, because really it's the only part of the bike that is really susceptible to heat and cold. So yeah, you saw how the battery worked. So it's a really cool design, very modern looking. I think it's a super cool looking scooter. So it kind of looks a little bit like a super motard, which is basically the type of motorcycle that I had. So up front here, it has this cool fairing, which is actually a storage place, so you can stick some stuff in there. I don't think I'll probably ever use it for that purpose. It's a very basic, cheap, but it looks nice. Really cool looking headlight. It's LED. I took it out for a ride last night and it's adequate in the dark. But basically I didn't feel comfortable at the maximum speed, 32k an hour. I had to slow down for it to provide, you know, the light that I felt comfortable with. It has LED turn signals front and rear, very flexible. On the rear it has basically just a single brake light with a reflector, and then the LED turn signals, and then the controls. So kind of almost looks like a motorcycle. So we'll turn it on, put in the key. So you can see the instrument cluster. So basically it has the battery, it's very simple, battery charge level, your current speed, and your total odometer. It has a low beam, high beam. Really doesn't make that much of a difference, so I would run it on high beam all the time if I was riding in the dark. But so if you put it in once, basically it just puts the rear light on, and it puts the gauge, the dash light on. If you put it all the way, then basically you have the dash light on, the brake light on, and then the front lights on. So I'm flashing it between high beam, low beam. I don't know if you guys can see the difference, but it is in pitch black. You can notice the difference. So there is a little crack scratch here, I think from shipping, so I'm probably gonna ask to get that replaced. So fenders front and rear, I find these fenders are really noisy. They make noise as the bike goes over bumps. Yeah, I might take the front one off. We'll see. I don't plan on riding it in conditions where I'm going to necessarily need the fenders. I'll probably take the front one off. It'll reduce the weight of the unit. Probably leave the rear one on just to protect this whole area, the shock, as well as this charging port, so it doesn't get all gummed up. So this is the other thing I like about this is it's a little more like a bicycle. So this area here where you would normally put your feet on a scooter is actually really narrow, and then it has the pedals, so it's most comfortable to ride with your feet on the pedal. So you can do all the kind of stuff you do on a bike, right? So when you go into a corner, you put the inside pedal up and the outside pedal down, which is it makes it feel more like a bike, and you can corner really aggressively. Or you can put your feet here. I have small feet, so I fit here if you want to be more aerodynamic on it. It came with a kickstand as well as a center stand. I have removed the kickstand to reduce weight because it's basically a solid hunk of metal. And the center stand is much more usable, because depending on how you can have it with the rear wheel up, or you can basically weight the rear, and the front wheel will stay up as well, which is nice. Other little features, it has a little hanger here for a grocery bag. What else? Yeah, so it does have pegs for carrying a passenger, but I don't think I'd ever carry a passenger on here, so I'm going to look at removing these, because again, they should shave a little bit of weight. You know, if I think I can get almost 10 pounds of weight off this thing, which will help improve the range and acceleration and hill climbing. I tried to take them off. Unfortunately, the way everything seems to be designed here is it's all integrated, so for me to actually have to take these off, I have to unscrew this whole component here, and I actually don't have all the wrenches to do that, so I'll probably end up going to a bike shop to do that, and maybe borrow some of their wrenches. So 2 springs, coil springs in the back, and then I'm assuming it's a coil spring setup in the front. There's an inch or two of travel. Yeah, so it's a fun little unit. I'll put up some video of me riding it. One of the reasons it's fun is it has such a low center of gravity because you sit low, the battery is low, and yeah, you can corner really aggressively on this. You stick your foot out like it's a supermoto, and you can corner hardcore on it. It's actually a lot of fun. Of these past few days in this town, people, I think most cars don't like these things. They drive very aggressive around them. So usually if we're going for an intersection or a turn, the cars really try to beat you to the intersection. But then actually going around the corner and the apex of the corner, I can corner faster, especially a 90-degree corner. I can corner faster on this than a car can. And if you stay on the throttle, you usually end up right on their ass again. So I've been having a lot of fun doing that with this. So yeah, just a first impressions video. I guess what are my impressions, the riding impressions. So yeah, so when you turn it off, it beeps to let you know you've turned it off. I would think it'd be important for it to beep when you actually turn it on too, which it doesn't, because once it's on, if you touch the throttle, the wheel will immediately go. So you just have to know that when the power's on and you turn the throttle, it's going to go because it's silent. It doesn't idle, make an idling noise or anything like that. So first impressions, riding impressions, very soft initial acceleration, and so I don't know if that's designed in the controller to limit how much power goes to the rear wheel, or if it's just the fact that it's a 350 watt motor. But once you get up, you know, after about 10 kilometers an hour, then it picks up really quickly. And I actually rode it home from work on Friday, and the route I took, I think, was 11.5 kilometers, and the first 50% is more or less flat, and then the last 50% is more or less mostly gradual uphill. And I averaged 29.2 kilometers an hour on this, including, you know, all the stop and go at traffic lights and that sort of thing, and stopping at street signs. And I was pretty impressed with that. For me to ride my bike home from work and achieve that average speed would be very difficult. I would have to ride really hard, and I would need to use a fast bike like a road bike to actually do it. So for 99.99999% of people out there, this is going to be way faster than a bicycle. And nice thing about the Canadian and American laws, the maximum speed is 20 kilometers an hour, or in Canada it'll be 32k an hour, which is substantially faster than the majority of people can ride a bike for a extended period of time. I know in the UK and the European Union, I think they're limited to 25k an hour, which is really lame, because part of the point to getting something like this would be that it's faster than a bicycle. So sucks to live in the European Union because of that. But here in Canada, North America, well, Canada-wide, it's 32k an hour. I think in the US they have some varying laws state to state, because you can get I think some states now you can get them up to 25 miles an hour, and I think there's maybe licensing and insurance. I'm not 100% sure, but they have, some states have variable options with electric vehicles like this. So yeah, this is considered an e-bike. Theoretically, you can go anywhere a bicycle can go. There's a real gray area in town right now when it comes to using these on multi-use paths. The place I bought it from said you can use it on multi-use paths. But then I was looking online a little bit, and one of our city employees made a statement that yeah, you can use an electric bike, an e-bike, on the path system, but it has to be under human power, meaning that you would have to just pedal it, which is pretty much impossible on this. Like, the reason it has pedals is basically to meet the law, to make it an e-bike. You can't efficiently pedal this bike any distance at any real speed. The pedals are only on there so that it remains an e-bike. So, oh, what else? I didn't go over the brakes. So the brakes are a drum, you know, a really basic drum system with a really simple barrel adjuster for tightening and loosening them. Yeah, they have adequate performance for a vehicle of this weight. Upper end, more expensive bikes will use disc brakes, but this is a nice simple system, and it provides more than adequate braking. So it's a direct drive electric motor, but it uses a chain system, and this chain drive system is just so that you can basically pedal the bike like that. So it's a very easy gear, meaning that you can't really, you could theoretically, I guess, use this to help with acceleration, but I would want longer cranks and basically a harder gear so that I can actually help it go along. And I might actually look into doing that, because I think this is just this freewheel gear setup here is just a bicycle unit on the rear, so I might actually look into that. Yeah, so I picked up the bike Friday, and the bike already has a couple issues. Basically you get a 1-year comprehensive warranty if you get a PDI, so like a motorcycle or automobile pre-delivery inspection. And the place that I bought it from, they talk like they know what they're talking about, but they don't know what they're doing, because basically right now there is play in the steering column, or the headset as bicycle terminology would be. There's play here, so I'm going to have to get that adjusted. I highly doubt he has the wrenches to adjust that, so I'll have to either bring it to a bike shop or a motorcycle place to get that adjusted, and I am fully expecting him or Emmo to pay for that. Also, the tires weren't seated correctly, so you won't be able to tell with the GoPro, but you can see this line here, and then it's basically not seated fully, so there is actually some up and down motion in the tire because it's not seated perfectly. So when you're riding it, just up and down motion. That's something that I could probably figure out myself, just taking out the air, playing with the bead, and then re-inflating it. But if I can convince them to pay for it, because I think that should be part of the PDI. If you buy a car or a motorcycle, or hell, even a bicycle, they're going to make sure that the tires are seated properly. So the fact they didn't do that in the PDI pisses me off, but it just shows that it's kind of a two-bit operation that I bought it from. Nice guys running the place, but they don't know what they're doing. They're not true mechanics. So yeah, I think that about covers it for an introductory video. Emmo Urban S, very cool looking bike, very easy, simple to use, fun to ride. I have some quality control issues with it from an assembly standpoint that I'm gonna have to get checked out, but other than that, right now I'm enjoying the experience. It's fun to ride. I'll take some video today of me riding it, especially cornering. It's so much fun to corner, and then I will use it tomorrow because it's Sunday for my commute to work. So basically I work 5 days a week, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday I ride a bicycle to work. But 1 day a week, Mondays, I was basically driving my car or driving my motorcycle. So now this will allow me to no longer have to drive my car on Mondays. I can use this as the crow flies. Basically from my house to my work, it's like 9 kilometers, so it's like less than 10K. And I always feel guilty about driving my car such a short distance. So this will help me alleviate that guilt using an emission-free vehicle. And you know, at 32K an hour with the route I use, I don't think it's going to take that much longer. I think the last time I drove, I did actually measure the time. So from the time I put it into drive from my house to the time I put it into park at work, it took 13 minutes 32 seconds. So yeah, this will take a little bit longer, but I don't think it's going to be horrible. It's actually going to be fun. The stop and go in the car, waiting at streetlights, that sort of thing is annoying as hell. I can choose a route with this bike that'll avoid the majority of the streetlights, and I'll only have to deal with stop signs. So yeah, it should be fun, and I will videotape that for tomorrow. But initially, this is my first impressions video of my I think this is a 2016 or 2017 Emmo Urban S. Thanks for watching. Bye.